A normal day for the town of Mawinhaken takes a horrifying turn when the dead begin to rise. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve from Valhartv, and today I'll be reviewing Sci-Fi's Day of the Dead, Episode 1. So, we start out with blood and gore right off the bat. We end up finding two kids in a car who have just ran into a sign, and then there's a sheriff that is a zombie, and he's still alive. So they get out and they take off running, and we get to see all these different shamblers, and other zombies, like tackling people, eating them. So we get thrown right into the mix, like right off the bat. And then these kids are, just take off running, trying to get away, and they hit a dead end. Well, it's not really a dead end. There's stairs that go up, but there's zombies coming down it. And then we meet the mayor, who just runs out, guns blazing, bam, 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 bam. Trying to take out zombies, but I'm like, you're missing the heads. So I don't know if, these are all different types of tropes from other movies, like Romero's Day of the Dead, actually. This is what this is based off of. His 1985 movie, I believe it is. But, yeah, so they go through, like, all his tropes. And it's just... I kind of cringed because there was a really, really cringe line from the mayor. And we find out it's Mayor Bowman. And she's helping her, rescue her son, Luke and Cam. Those are the two kids who were in the car. So we find that out because it flashes back to earlier in the day, apparently. Because this takes place over 24 hours, I believe it is. Or a couple days. But, so they go back to earlier, and we kind of see how the zombies started. So it seems like there's a fracking company who's boring holes into the ground trying to get to natural gas, and they end up coming upon this big giant cavern where they send the new girl down, and she discovers a body down there. But in the meantime, there's like earthquakes and stuff in Pennsylvania, because of the fracking. So I kind of laughed at that because I was like, man, somebody doesn't like fracking, who wrote that part. So apparently that's what it took, is like fracking. And so the cops go in to try to investigate it, and we end up seeing the dead start to rise up out of the graves. Cam is mowing a lawn at a funeral home. And we meet one of the girls there. I can't remember what her name is. It is... Forgive me, I'm trying to actually grab the thing. It is Lauren, I believe it is. Lauren is her name. And they go through all these different little jokes about how he's never going to get out of this crappy town. And then, of course, the mayor's son, he's a rebel, he's trying to steal beers, and then he goes over and acts like he's gonna hit this Cam, while he's on this mower. And I'm just like, what? And then he's like, you thought I was gonna hit you. And I'd have been like, dude, I'm calling the cops because you tried to hit me. But I'm like, that's crazy, to actually do that. I to even try to freak somebody out like that. What if something happened? You know what I mean? Like, to me, I'm always thinking like what happened if they actually hit the guy? You'd have been screwed. So, yeah, they do all this different stuff, and we eventually start to see like a hand start to pop out of the ground, and then eventually the zombies start rising up, and we see a lot of blood and gore, too, where Cam's running them over with a lawnmower. But then they get up and continue to move, and I'm like, what? I'm like, when you hit them in the head, they're done. They don't keep moving. I'm like, that was kind of weird. So that was the weird part about like this thing. I felt too is that like the zombies just kept going, no matter whether they had a head or not, you know. And we see it in the funeral home. Lauren ends up getting bit, and then she bashes, one of the zombies' heads in, and he's still moving. And she does it right in front of a whole bunch of people, and they're all like, "Oh, what'd you do?" And I was like, "Really?" And yeah, the ending of this episode, well, I chuckled at. I did because it's the trope that they used where let's hide here and we'll be safe, versus we should just take off running, and it's really they make the wrong turn versus going to the right turn, going the right way. And I kind of chuckled at that because I was like, yep, that's another one of the tropes that everybody's used in a zombie movie. So, yeah, that was kind of like the cliffhanger that they left us on. There is plenty of blood and gore in this. So I thought that was fine. It all looked decent. It was a sci-fi show, so it's going to have whatever budget it's got for that stuff, but it all looked fine. And then, the acting, again, was typical for a sci-fi show. Not really any issues there. Everybody was just their typical, self in, like, this type of zombie apocalypse thing. So, yeah, the acting I thought was fine. So this episode, honestly, throws us right into the whole blood and gore, like, right off the bat. They don't even bother to give you like a backstory until they do the flashback to earlier. So I kind of feel like maybe they chopped part of an episode up and then threw it in the beginning to get people, supposedly hooked onto the show because, they thought maybe that if they didn't show blood and gore right off the bat, they wouldn't, people wouldn't continue to watch. But I mean, that's usually not the case with most, with most movies. People start watching it because they think that there's going to be a decent plot, and then they get thrown into stuff, and whether it is or isn't, is up to that person. So we really get to see this. We kind of get to see how the outbreak started. Again, I don't think anybody liked fracking who wrote this. That was actually kind of funny. But overall, like, the jokes really weren't hitting at all. I kind of groaned more than I laughed. Like I said, I really kind of laughed at the end of the episode because of what they did. So I honestly would give this at least a 5.5, maybe 6 out of 10. It was an alright episode. Hopefully they'll get better. I believe this is only a 10 episode season. So hopefully they do get better as they go along, and we'll end up seeing. So if you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Take care for now, everyone.